May 26, 1990, Palm Bay, Florida. Late morning sunlight washed over quiet suburban streets, sprinklers ticked, lawnmowers hummed in the distance. It was the kind of neighborhood where nothing dramatic ever seemed to happen. Inside one of those houses was 21-year-old Marlene Warren. She was home with her young son. It was an ordinary day, until it wasn't. At around 11 a.m., a knock sounded at the door. Not aggressive, not urgent, just polite. Marlene walked to the front entrance and looked outside. Standing on the porch was a clown, white grease paint, red nose, oversized orange wig, bright costume, cheerful colors. In one hand, a bouquet of flowers. In the other, 2 helium balloons. One balloon read, "You're the greatest." The other, "Happy birthday." It didn't feel threatening. It felt confusing, but not dangerous. If stories like this stay with you, if they follow you into the quiet parts of the night, subscribe, because there are more waiting, and the next one might feel a little closer to home. She opened the door. There were no screams, no argument. The clown raised a gun and fired a single shot into her face at point-blank range, then calmly turned, walked back to a white Chrysler LeBaron, and drove away, in broad daylight. Marlene was rushed to the hospital but died 2 days later. The brutality stunned Palm Bay. This wasn't random street violence. This wasn't a robbery gone wrong. It was deliberate, close range, personal. Neighbors described seeing the clown walk casually to the car. No panic, no rush. Police quickly determined the Chrysler had been reported stolen days earlier from a dealership, then mysteriously returned after the murder. That detail alone felt rehearsed. The costume wasn't improvised either. Detectives traced it to a costume shop in nearby West Palm Beach. Someone had planned this. Someone had thought through every detail. The disguise wasn't about humor. It was about access. Almost immediately, suspicion circled close to home. Marlene's husband, Michael Warren, was reportedly involved in an affair. The woman he was linked to, Sheila Keene, quickly became a person of interest. Witnesses placed Keene at the costume store days before the murder. Employees later recalled a woman purchasing a clown outfit, but memory is fragile. And in 1990, forensic science wasn't what it is today. There was no DNA database match, no weapon recovered. No confession, rumors spread, whispers filled the neighborhood, but suspicion isn't proof. The case stalled. Time passed, the white Chrysler detail faded from headlines. The image of the clown became a local legend, something people would mention in hushed tones. Children who grew up in Palm Bay heard about the clown shooting like it was an urban myth. But it wasn't. It was unsolved. For 27 years, Michael Warren eventually married Sheila Keene. They moved away from Florida. Life continued. But detectives never fully closed the file. The clown had been too careful, too precise. That kind of crime doesn't feel random. It feels rehearsed. In 2014, the case was reopened. Technology had changed. Forensic analysts re-examined evidence stored for decades. Fibers, hairs recovered from the clown costume packaging, small trace materials once considered unusable. DNA advancements allowed investigators to compare samples in ways that weren't possible in 1990. Witness statements were revisited, timelines reconstructed, financial records resurfaced, motives sharpened. In 2017, Sheila Keene was arrested and charged with Marlene Warren's murder. The image of a smiling clown, once mysterious, became something far more grounded. Calculated, personal, human. In 2023, Keene pleaded guilty, bringing a formal end to a case that had haunted Palm Bay for nearly 3 decades. Clowns are meant to disarm. They lower suspicion. They create trust. That's what made this crime so chilling. The disguise wasn't chosen for shock value. It was chosen because it guaranteed the door would open. There were no chase scenes, no supernatural elements, no shadowy woods, just a quiet porch, a knock, and a mask used as a weapon. Haunted Palm Bay for nearly 3 decades. The Palm Bay clown wasn't a monster from folklore. It was a person who understood something terrifying. People open doors for smiles. And sometimes, the most horrifying disguises aren't meant to hide from police. They're meant to get you close enough to trust. Keep in mind, true horror stories don't always hide in darkness. Sometimes they arrive in daylight, smiling. I'll see you in the next nightmare. This has been Nightroot Horror, where the stories don't fade, they follow. Until next time, Lock your doors, dim the lights, and listen carefully, because something is always closer than you think. I'll see you in the next nightmare.